So our description says, Brendan and Patricia are at Nanzhuang Old Street. They're there right now.
Okay, they've made the trip down south and they're ready to start checking the place out. Brendan is impressed already.
Ooh.
He says this place is really beautiful. It's nice to look at. There's lots of pretty things everywhere, nice buildings and scenery.
As a lot of these old streets are. Just they do make you feel like, hey, this isn't just like walking down a street in a city. This is kind of almost like walking into the past.
Yes, it's like stepping into history.
Yeah. Patricia says, let's start with the movie theaters. Now, this may not sound so interesting. Movie theaters, they're everywhere. These are a little special. We'll find out in a moment why. First, let's look at the words movie theater. Okay, movie is M-O-V-I-E. Theater is T-H-E-A-T-E-R. Movie theater. And this, of course, is just a building where you go in order to watch films. Okay, for example, I like to watch action films in the movie theater. I like to watch action films in the movie theater. Because, you know, big screens and action, you want to see that in a place where it's nice and big and you get all the sound and excitement.
Yeah, it's a lot different than watching a movie at home.
Smaller, yeah.
Watching Netflix on your TV. It's a different experience at the theater. Now, Patricia is going to tell us why this theater is special, what makes it different. She says many miners used to work in Nanzhuang.
Okay, so this is an old theater. It's not like a modern building. This is back in the 1930s or something, you know, when film might have still been black and white or no sound.
Or no sound.
So really old style, cool theaters like that.
Yeah, this is an old one, and miners used to go there. A miner is a person who works in a mine. Now, that's just a man-made hole underground or inside a hill or a mountain where people try to take useful rocks like precious metals like gold or jewels or diamonds, things that are worth a lot of money, out of the stone, or things like coal too, as well.
Very useful rock.
The dwarves in Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, they were all miners.
Yes.
And they would sing as they went to work.
Hi-ho!
Just like this. They were very happy to be miners, even though mines are very dangerous places to work, but they were happy about it.
They were okay with it. So our article says that there used to be miners here. Miners used to work in Nanzhuang. Used to is a grammar structure we use to say that something happened before, but it doesn't now. For example, I used to live in the UK, but now I live in Taiwan.
That's right. So he used to live there, now he lives somewhere else.
Now here. So that part has ended. So used to mean there were miners in Nanzhuang, but now there aren't.
Okay, so these miners, they often spent their time and money here. So they would spend their days working very hard, doing a lot of dangerous work. They would make their money and they would go straight to the theater to have some free time, some entertainment, and they would spend their money at the theater.
Yeah, there probably wasn't much else going on, so it would have been like, this is our place.
Yeah, a small town, probably wasn't much else to do except work and go to see a movie.
Cool. So Brendan and Patricia keep walking around. Where are they going to end up next?
Brendan says, and this old blue building is the post office. So if you had to send some mail, maybe you had a letter you were writing home to your parents or to anybody, you would go to the post office to send it there.
Okay, Patricia then says, let's go down these steps. Okay, so step, S-T-E-P, step, is a flat surface and it's usually one in a series, okay? And that's where you put your feet when you're moving up or down from one level to another. You go up the steps or down the steps. And as all fans of Sherlock Holmes should know, there were 17 steps in the staircase up to Sherlock Holmes's rooms at 221B Baker Street.
17 steps.
17 steps. And Holmes knew this. Watson didn't.
Watson didn't know.
Because Watson would see but not remember. Holmes, he knew it just by looking.
Holmes had a bit of a good memory on him, so he knew exactly how many steps there were. Patricia says they're called General Nogi's steps. So that's the reason they're talking about the steps. There's something significant or important about them. These were General Nogi's steps. General is the leader of an army or at least a very important officer. For example, Sun Tzu was a brilliant Chinese general who wrote the book The Art of War.
Hey, Brendan's curious. He says, why is that? Why are they called General Nogi's steps?
Patricia, of course, has the answer.
She's been there before.
She's been there before. She is showing him around, so she has all this information. She says, Nogi Murasuke was a Japanese general. Okay, so this is going back to the time when the Japanese were here in Taiwan.
Okay, and when he was here, presumably in the area, he gave money to help people build these steps.
Oh, what a guy.
So here we use the word build, B-U-I-L-D. Past tense is built, okay? It's a verb, and it means to make something. And we generally use it when we're talking about making a large building, something else that's big, a bridge, something else like that. We say we build it. For example, my grandpa built this house in 1936. My grandpa built this house in 1936.
Now, Brendan has another question. He's the guy who's getting shown around, so he wants to know more. He asks, what else can we see here?
Yeah, they keep walking along from these steps, and Patricia says there's Sweet Osmanthus Alley.
Wow.
That's a name and a half.
It is.
Sweet Osmanthus Alley. We can buy osmanthus tea there.
Okay, so most of these old streets, as we said, they usually have some kind of famous food or famous drink.
Yeah, here it's osmanthus tea. Now, osmanthus is a flower that's native to East Asia, so Taiwan, China, Japan area. It's got a strong smell and it can be used to make tea. I quite like it.
Does it have a pleasant taste?
It does. It's kind of sweet. I don't know whether that's because it's made with a bit of extra sugar, but it's kind of different. It's refreshing. It's light.
A nice, light, refreshing tea. Good for summer, I guess.
Yes.
And then Brendan has another question. He's full of questions
so
today.
So many questions.
He says, what are those women doing? Yes, what are they doing?
Well,
and this is a woman, okay, so woman is spelled W-O-M-A-N, woman. That's an adult female person. So if it was a young girl, we would say a girl, or a little girl. But if it's a grown person, we say it's a woman, if it's a female. For example, the woman in the picture is my mother. The woman in the picture is my mother.
Of course. And then women is the plural form. We change the A to an E. What are those women doing? Indeed. Patricia, as usual, has the answer. They're washing their clothes in a stone irrigation ditch.
Okay, they're washing their clothes.
Sounds very traditional, this
kind of thing. Yeah, it sounds like something from the distant past.
Yes, so they're washing their clothes. Clothes, C-L-O-T-H-E-S, clothes. Now, I've been in Taiwan a while. I've heard a lot of people say clotheses. Please don't say clotheses. It is clothes, okay? And the clothes are the things you wear. So trousers and pants, dresses and jackets. For example, Wendy went to the mall to buy some new clothes. Wendy went to the mall to buy some new clothes, okay? So we've got these women, they're washing their clothes in this old-fashioned way in a stone irrigation ditch.
Yes, an irrigation ditch is a path dug into the ground for water. So they have used something like a shovel to dig into the ground, and it's used to take water from a river or from the hills that it would be flowing down to where it is needed by farmers for their fields or by people for washing and drinking water. So it's taking the water to where it needs to go.
Yeah, it's kind of like making an open road for it to go. You can cover it up to keep it cleaner, of course, but otherwise it's just hacking almost like a new road in the ground so the water will flow into it to where it is needed. Very important for farming and all sorts.
That's right, it's making a path for the water. Brendan says it feels like I'm back in the old days. Yes, this is what happens when you go to an old street. It takes you back to the old days, into the past.
Yeah, that's what we mean by the old days. Now, this, we don't know exactly which old days, but the phrase the old days kind of makes you think of a time when things were simple. There wasn't so much electricity or technology, so there were no washing machines for these women. They would have to take their clothes down to the water, scrub them with some kind of old-fashioned soap, beat them a bit, then hang them up.
I guess it was maybe like a social thing too.
They could meet and talk,
They could gossip.
Yeah.
Talk about whose husbands were misbehaving.
Scandal. Okay, so the article finishes up with a bit of description. It says Brendan and Patricia keep walking around Nanzhuang Old Street. So they're looking at more buildings, more old stuff. They'll stop for a snack. They just enjoy their day.
All right, that brings us to the end of the article. Before we leave you, let's have our wrap-up for the day.
Okay, so in that article, Brendan says he felt like he was back in the old days. Have we ever visited any places in the world where it feels like that's happened to us? It feels like we've walked back in time into an older sort of place, an older kind of social life?
I've traveled to some places, Greece, for example, the city of Athens. You can be walking down any street in that city, and all of a sudden there will be a 2,000-year-old temple just sitting there.
Yep.
And people walk by it every day with their Starbucks, but it's just there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess England does have a lot of those things as well. Every now and again around these buildings and all around these streets, there'll be, oh, that's 700 years old. You know, that tree, the Robin Hood tree, the major oak, still there. Maybe around 1,000 years old, this old oak tree. It's held up by metal sticks. So you see that stuff and you think, wow, people came here and met around this tree 1,000 years ago and lived in the woods. So there's a Viking museum in England where you can kind of get involved with some of the stuff. So that takes you back a bit.
That would take you back to the old days for sure. You guys can discuss this as well if you want. What places make you feel like you're back in the old days?
Okay, but that's all the time we've got. Thank you for watching us. For A+ English, I'm Pat.
I'm Joe.
Talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.